What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's get into it right now. Let's talk about the most overrated films of 2015. Now, these films are overrated by the public's perception and film and industry. That's how these decisions were made, and to me, in my opinion, they didn't live up to what they were supposed to do, as to hype as what the media and the fans were thinking about these films rather. Number 10, I have the Avengers, the Age of Ultron. The reason why this made the most overrated film is because it was highly publicized, and it was a good movie, just way overrated. Basically, I didn't like how they portrayed the character Ultron. It's an entertaining movie, but far away from the scale and the scope of the first movie. There's a duration of where the characters are almost put in as sideshow pieces and not used properly, I think. And I think it was mostly a Tony Stark, Captain America film more than it was an Avenger film. And I think they were more focused on setting up branch off films to actually really care about making a good movie. They just said, well, this movie's going to sell regardless, so let's just have a little something that's going to set up the next one with this. We'll do a little something here to set up the next one for that. As you saw, Thor character really was a non-factor in the entire movie. It felt like, why even have him? Next will be Earl and the Dying Girl. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, this is a movie where a young boy, immature, learns about life through a dying girl who has cancer, and he learns about the value of life. And it's like the story, I mean, you've seen the story, but it's not really that interesting. And it's hard to pick a movie like this and say that about. But this is one of those movies in which it's a good movie, but it was highly overrated. People were, oh, it's a riveting performance, and you're thinking of the movie last year where the girl had who had the cancer, and then it was like it was following that theme, but it was nothing really original about it at all. It's just these one lines that kept coming up over and over. It just was overplayed. So once you see it in its totality, and it's really not as good as it was cranked up to be, as it was hyped up to be to me. I mean, I watched it and I said, oh, it's okay. And that was basically it. You know, nothing really extraordinary about the film. Next, I would have at number 8, we have Spectre with James Bond. Now, this movie was hyped up galore. It's the next James Bond, will be his last one. Coming off the success of Skyfall, you thought this James Bond was going to burn up the movie theater, and it has so much potential with the characters of Christopher Waltz. The previews were amazing, and when you get to the actual film, and it's like, it just didn't deliver. You felt like it was missing something. We understand Christopher Waltz's character was mystic and had been responsible for everything, but we really didn't see him do anything. We just have to imagine the other James Bond films when they mentioned him, that it was him behind the scenes. So it really led nothing to the imagination, and I think it's like the reason James Bond films need to come out at least once every 3 years or 4 years, so that we can miss them a little bit. Because it kind of gets complacent, he's about to retire, or We gotta put James Bond on restrictions, and it's like that's tired. You know, we gotta take his you know, his double O license, you know, and then he gets it back at the end. He's right back there again. It's just, it gets tired. You know, it's like, look, we don't need the sideshow of what's going on with the agency and Bond. We rather just let Bond do his job and, you know, let it be. And on that note, we move on to number 7. Number 7 on the list is Steve Jobs. And the reason why Steve Jobs is on the list is because everybody nailed his performances. It's the actual writing in the script. And I'm like, my goodness, this guy, the way the pacing was and the way they chose to do it at these conferences and try to speed through certain things to show the element of the brand of how Steve Jobs is binding in with his daughter. That's not... Does anybody care about Steve Jobs' relationship with his daughter, Lisa? I think that the first Steve Jobs film they did, called Jobs, did a better job on Steve Jobs' life and didn't include a lot of Lisa, and I see why they did it this way, because it was really a bad situation, yes, with the way he treated the wife and everything, but I guess they could have added a little bit more of the business side of what was going on in that film. So I feel like the scenes that they shot here could be put in Jobs, and then you would have a great film, because Jobs was missing something, and it was this, and now this is missing what Jobs had. The actual backstory and the filling in of the blanks. But highly overrated. People had it on their favorite movies of the year. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, Wozniak just proves he was a baby, you know, about everything. The Apple II crew, give us a least shout out, give us that. You didn't do this by yourself. You can't code. It's like, okay, you can code, and now what? Who remembers you, really? If it wasn't for Jobs, there wouldn't be a Wozniak. So, I mean, he hasn't worked with you in so long, and his name is still relevant. Yours is not. But anyway, moving on right along to number 6, we have Serena. And the reason why it's not so higher up on the list is because it didn't get a lot of publicity. It was a straight-to-video film in which the movie reviewers were really were like, oh my gosh, like, this movie is so outstanding. Wait till you see it. And it's incredible. You've never seen nothing like this. Jennifer Lawrence is just so spectacular in the film. You know, you hear all this stuff, and then you see something else. Jennifer Lawrence, she was so amazing, wasn't she? Oh, her performance. Now, don't get me wrong. It's the story of Serena. And it's the fact that Jennifer Lawrence's chemistry with her husband, who's supposed to be, you know, Bradley Cooper, and you don't feel it. You don't feel that she's committed to the role of this woman. And Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress. It's just certain things she can't pull off. They think she's going to be great in everything. She could do any type of role. That's not true. And in this sense, I could see the director didn't get it out of her. Or they just said, well, just let her go. She's not hitting the mark. We're not going to get what we want here. So, let's just let it go. And that's what happened here. It was clearly what happened here. That Serena movie was a disaster. And Bradley Cooper's character was just lost. I mean, I guess that was the direction for him to be confused and lost about everything that was going on. And I was confused and lost. I was looking at my watch in that movie. And number 5, we have In the Heart of the Sea. In the Heart of the Sea, where Thor decides to go out sailing. And the thing is it was well shot. The story was great. Everything's going on, and everyone's been waiting at the end of the year to see the true tale behind Moby Dick. And this whale out by the Morocco River. And they're whalers, you know, they're going out hunting, they're killing whales, and they're using it for fuel, the blubber, and there's so much value in whaling. And this one whale who was out defending the other whales that were out there was just not to be messed with. And was basically teaching them a lesson about taking the lives of the whale. So we see the whale, they're sailing, the whale comes, boom, breaks up the ship, and then they're sailing. And they're sailing, and then they're sailing. And then they gotta eat the rest of the crew members, everybody who keeps dying, or who dies of starvation, they get ate by the rest of the crew to stay alive. And here comes the whale again, and it starts again. And the whale's attacking the ships, crashing right through them, over and over again, and they're sailing. And they're sailing. And they're sailing again, and now they're sailing again. It was a worst waste of time I have had in a movie theater, and I was very disappointed in The Heart of the Sea. I thought this was going to be a blockbuster. I was telling people to go out and see it. It was a total waste of everybody's time, and I would apologize to everybody for wanting to waste their time to see. But nothing has taken my surprise as much as the last 4 that was there. Because number 4, I believe, The Secret in Their Eyes was a shock to me. Great mystery, good story, and everything else, but it got complacent, and then the ending was so stupid, and it was so predictable, and it ended up meaning nothing. There was no lesson learned in this film whatsoever. And I guess the secret was we're going to throw a twist at the end that you've saw done better in other films. And they put so many years into in between the shots. Then they kept going back a couple of years and going back to the... I hate when they do that and they don't do it correctly. Because if you don't do it correctly, it's going to look like the same film or the same time period, and you can't guess which time period they're in. It's going to make it look like crap. And that's exactly what they did. And they took everyone's attention away from the movie and worrying about things that weren't in the movie and things that were going on. So the story really didn't... It lost its flavor. Then you really didn't care, and then I knew where they were going towards the end. And sure enough, that's where they went. I mean, you left unsatisfied. So that's number 4, The Secret in Their Eye. Number 3 is Crimson Peak. This was good. What's his name? Guillermo del Toro's best horror film. Everyone's over the top. It's gonna be in 3D IMAX with these ghosts, and visually it looks amazing. So we thinking, man, this is gonna be something terrifying. I get into this movie, man, and here it is. These ghosts, you seen all the best stuff on the previews. You didn't need to see nothing else. If you had saw what I seen in the first part, you already knew the ghosts were non-significant. You knew when they were coming, and then they were insignificant in the movie. You could have shot this entire film and not even shown one ghost, and it would be the same laid out lame story that it was. Greedy people trying to get money out of rich people. And I'm like, that's what this is? This is so dumb. This don't even make sense. They didn't even need the ghosts. So it was just well overrated for that factor alone. Number 2 on the list, Sicario. Oh my God. Sicario has to be. It would have been number 1 if it wasn't for my number 1. But Sicario, my goodness. I'm sitting there watching Del Toro do his role, and none of this makes any sense whatsoever. Emily Blunt, why was she even chosen to be in the movie? She was deemed, as the movie started, as one of the most smartest people on the force. The only person they chose to even work with in the first place. And the whole time she acts like a complete idiot. She's there to learn. She's questioning everything. She's getting involved. She's dictating terms and questioning authority of people she don't even know. It made less and less more sense as it went on. Then you got Del Toro, who just seems to go around, do what he wants to do, and he's a hitman, I guess, for Colombia, and he seems to have no problem in getting next to the guy who, for years, he's been trying to get this guy. It looked like he got him with very little effort, with very little resistance from anybody. So, if he was this good to get there right there, why did it take so many years? And we really didn't see the holdup. And then the whole time, Emily Blunt is just like some dunce blonde who just keeps stumbling into stuff. It is the worst. I mean, it is the most overrated. And I'm like, what are people seeing that I'm missing? And I would have been really hung up on this if it wasn't for the number 1 movie, Kingsman, the Secret Service. I almost fell out of my chair when I seen people put this in like the top 10 best movies of the year and getting all these, this movie was awesome-tacular. I'm like, Jeremy, John, what is going on with people? It had cool gadgets. It had the most ridiculous storyline. And then it makes fun of how bad it really is. Female character, undeveloped. You have an English actor who played good at being a kid who was basically, I guess they were going to train him to be the new youth agent. And this movie was like 3 different movies. It was like Divergent. And then it became the movie with the ninjas were killing everybody. The Warrior's Way. They had the Warrior's Way mixed into this. It had so many wrong things into it. You got Samuel Jackson talking with a lisp. He's going in and out of character to try to keep up with this ridiculousness of this movie. And the ridiculousness of they are saving some of the people in the world while the world just going crazy, killing itself. And they have the ridiculous church scene where it's just over the violence in the film. That whole church scene was way too long, overdone, overkill, and the underdeveloped character girl, they just had her sail up to space to shoot some satellite, and then she comes falling down because they didn't know what else to do with her character since she was pretty much unused. That they didn't even put him with her at the end. They put him with some duchess. It was just the worst thing I've seen on screen, and by far the most overrated film in 2015, without a doubt. This film missed every mark. Every mark. They unutilized the girl with the legs, with the knives on her legs. She was just nothing, no backstory as to what happened with her or seeing her do more things. It had so much potential. Turned out they didn't know what they were going to do with it anyway. I'm out.